We have the second panel of the morning, and we're going to discuss, as Alice pointed, the case studies of European co-productions. So let's welcome the panelists. We have Sandra Tapia, producer of Ravalejar. Yes, please. Donde quieras. We also have Marianne Slot and Carine Leblanc from the production company Slot Machine, who will talk about the Danish Woman. Welcome. Thank you so much. Just take a seat. And also Míriam Porté, producer at Distinto Films. She's going to speak about Pubertat. I say Pubertat, like mixed in English and Catalan. Sorry about that. A very feminine panel. I love that. Thank you so much for being here. And well, we have a lot of experience here, and I think it's going to be a very good starting point to speak about your experience, how your projects came to life, and your experience co-producing, financing, and what went wrong, what went right. Mm-hmm. What do you think, just to give some context about all the
So
TV
it's
series?
therapy.
It's therapy, yes. Would you like to? Yes, please.
Okay, in our case, our DNI normally it's cinema, but in that case, when Paul arrives with the story, it's a life, it inspired them through family events, let's say. At the beginning, we imagine a movie, but because of the main characters and the topics that we wanted to introduce, we decided to switch to a TV series. We have previous experience with the originals, but in that case, because of artistic approach and the topics, because it's massive tourism, it's problems with housing, so it's the changement of the cities. We wanted to have like an independent project in terms of artistic and finance structure as well. So it's the first time that we have, well, almost the first, we have a previous experience, but with France as a minor co-producers. We decided to have this structure in co-production, keeping the IP. So in my experience, it has been a long process. Do you know that? And originally it's go for it, and it's quite, let's say, easy. But in that case was our first experience like independent TV series, and we are super happy. It has been long. You should be patient, you know. But at the end, we have a project that currently is in post-production. The release will be next year. But it's we think it's super, let's say, strong and passionate. And the structure in co-production was nice as an experience, but it's long.
Yeah, we're coming a little bit for the same thing. Slot Machine is mainly a feature film production company, and we are an author-based company, an author-driven company. And we had the big pleasure of working with Benedikt Erlingsson, with whom we did Woman at War, La Mujer de la Montaña, voilà. And we were kind of exploring new projects with the director, and he was very keen on going into a longer format, so we chose to develop this series with him. But we have been doing it like we actually do with feature films, because it's a very original voice, very unique voice, and the main goal had been always to protect this voice, and for that we needed the independent financing in some way, and so we financed it ourselves together with RUF. And then we kind of constructed it all around public money, broadcasters and media, which was vital to get it. As everybody knows, it's the money that permits us to give us artistic freedom, keeping our independence, and protect unique voices. Voilà, just a little promotion.
So we are 2 medias, 1 euro image, right?
Yes. Yeah, so we ended up constructing it. It's a co-production between France and Iceland, and maybe did you continue?
Well, maybe we let Míriam.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yes, our case, I mean, well, I'm the producer jointly with Uriel Maimó of Pubertat, the series created by Leticia Dolera that has been released in HBO platform like a month ago, no, less than that, well, in September, end of September. And yes, it's our profile as company is very similar to Arcadia and Slot Machine. We are mainly feature film producers, author projects. We just produced Sorda, Una Quinta Portuguesa, and S'mores amb mi. I mean, we had this project. I really wanted to work with Leticia on a series, we explore jointly, three of us, about the topic, about what we wanted to explain. And it's true that we explore different ways to finance this project. We were also happy, to go with a platform. But it's true that at one point, Leticia came up with the idea of creating, this Castells universe. And of course, this automatically brought us to a series Catalan speaking. And at that moment, a window, opportunity of financing in Catalan was open. So, everything like sort of matched. And we decided to go through this, through this financing structure. Which is basically very much similar to Arcadia's project, which includes, a Catalan platform television, which is 3K, TV3, and HBO for the Spanish release. And all the rest was, it is actually, soft money and tax credit. And so we are lucky that we can keep sort of 99.5% of the IP.
Same.
Yes, exactly, which is very amazing. And thank you to Alessia and Eurimage support. Thank you to Alex and Media Development Slate Funding support. This was really the very first moment we applied for Slate funding, which is like a slot of projects. And a series was there that for some reason, we decided not to keep, to carry on with the development. And that was the reason why I called Leticia and said, let's go for this development, and I have the financing for that. So yeah, thank you so much.
Sandra, you've said it was a long process, and you both come from a film production background. Do you have any learnings you think you can reuse in future projects in terms of all in with this project, or maybe we can rule out this one because it's too difficult because of the scenario of a co-production, which is hard, I presume. So maybe you can just elaborate on your specific learnings throughout all the process.
In our experience, similar that Míriam said, it was a key element, natural to the project, and it was the language. We always imagine a family. The story take place here, close to here at Raval, and it was the real story of the family, the Pol's family, the creator. So it was natural to the project, and that's why we achieved this new, let's say, the new scheme for a Catalan series. So I think how we learn, maybe it's, do you know which kind of projects it's more original path, or trying to keep the IP and co-produce, and we always, I think we all agree that it's when we are working with authors and more artistic approach, then you can like try to find a way, but it's long. It's even longer than a movie, in my experience. because media, it's amazing, Euromage, it's amazing, but that arrives at the end. In our case, we were about to start shooting, so we risk our fees, and thanks to media, because it was the best news ever last year, but yeah, it's a question of years. So
everyone here was nodding. Like, I think they feel the same pain as you. It's a long process.
It's a long process.
Well, producing a film is also a long process, but a series, it's several films.
Yeah.
No, so it's 3 films, at least, yeah, 3 films. So in our case, it's true that we built it as a French-Icelandic co-production, but we didn't manage to have money from France except Slot Machine's investment, which is huge still. Okay, so we produced it exactly like a film, which we don't recommend you to do because it doesn't work like that, of course. But it was because of Benedikt Erlingsson. It was for him, not because of him. It was thanks to him, because we are very proud of the series. And finally, it will be broadcasted on Arte, also in France, so it's great. But it was a bet. So now the bet is that we did the best series we could, and we are going to sell it. And we have a great sales agent for that. But it was a very long process. I mean, financially, it's complicated. So, of course, media and Euromage for you, or media, TV online content was a great thing, because for us, when we got the grant, then we said, we go for it, you know?
You want to add something to the question? Okay, so I was thinking about how do you you were saying that you are like a company with a very creative core. How do you keep that creative core of the project when working with different production companies, different production philosophies and ways of work? How do you keep that when working with different?
I think it's quite easy, no?
You mean when we co-produce?
Yes, when you co-produce.
Well, you have to match with the other companies, I believe.
And normally, in my experience,
it's an add-on, so it's nothing to be fearful or.
I mean, sorry, go ahead. I mean, at the end of the day, when you propose somebody else to co-produce your project or the project that you are looking at from a certain point of view, you have also to find someone that is able to see this project in a very similar point of view as you do. So, yeah, I mean, this match is very necessary, to make sure that everybody is making the same film or the same project, the same series, and has the same sort of sensibility about the content, about the authorship. Yeah.
And what about you?
I think that you have to, first of all, as you say, it's like really vital that you find the right partners. But I think that the starting point for us is always all the projects that we do is, the financing have to serve the project. And so every financing we do on each project is different because we try to, find the elements that actually lives up to the artistic challenge of what we have to do. And that's where it comes to, of course, the partners that you go looking for or the funds that you go looking for match what you're doing. And I think that's kind of the vital things of success of doing a co-production.
So finding a good partner at the very beginning, is the key to. And what about the practical challenges? Maybe when you're co-producing in different countries, is that a thing? Or right now you can just work just fine working in different countries, different cities? What do you think?
you mean in our case
Yes.
from the
Yes,
production
always from
company?
your own perspective, yes. Go ahead.
Start. It depends. In our case, for example, the strength for co-production was the topic of the TV series, because it's something that it happens here in Barcelona at the Raval, but it could happen in Lisbon, in Berlin, in Paris, wherever. So for the content, it was easy. We could produce with Belgium. We tried at the beginning with France, but it was quite difficult. So we take advantage of the tax as something like is secure, and we already have experience with Media. They are strong, and that was a question of respect in terms of content, because we are the main producing company. We are close to the talent, and it was quite easy because they respect, they understand the proposal, and the reaction when they received the scripts on the first screening was amazing. But when you realize that something works outside your neighborhood, because it's quite local, then that's a strength for co-production. And then you have the practical part. So it's something that you need to, let's say, organize from the very beginning, trying to, in our case, it was not so natural as a co-production. I mean, no characters coming from Belgium, so it's something that is behind the scene. So it's a question to organize very well. Let's say, like, no one at the shooting realized that it's a real co-production, but equipment came from Belgium, some crew came from Belgium, and I think people in Barcelona are used to work with people from Europe. And then you have the post-production. The post-production is something very important in co-productions, and we are now living that moment. So Media, for example, was great because they have a very close relationship with VFX, labs, mixing equipments. So do you try to organize from the very beginning, talk to the directors, creators, and say, okay, at the end of the year, you have to go to Belgium for 3 months and stay there. And that's something that sometimes it's easy or sometimes it's more difficult. But we are all, I think almost everyone is used to this kind of co-productions.
Yeah, in that sense, I would like to add, the idea that maybe there are projects where the co-production is much more organic, is much more natural in terms of the content, in terms of the story, the cast, etc. But maybe others are not. So, and for me, I mean, it's true that Eurimage-wise or media-wise, it's like, this is a technical co-production. It's like not so much, interesting or so much sexy. But I would, encourage Eurimage specifically to accept that we can have either one or the other. I mean, and a technical or financing co-production is as, valuable as the artistic. But because it is very difficult, it's not impossible, but it is not so easy to be able to build artistic, organic, authentic cultural co-productions between 2 or more countries in Europe. And it's going to happen more and more. But I think this will happen also if we accept, happily, these more technical co-productions, if I explain myself.
You want to add something?
I can say that in the case of the Danish Woman, we had an Icelandic co-producer, of course. So we built all the tax credit there because we filmed there and we post-produced there. So all the spends were in Iceland. So in terms of co-production, it was quite easy. The director is Icelandic, so it was fine. And we had some art department people or creative people coming from France and different other countries also. But again, it was because of the project, and it was coherent with the project. And we had a big chance also because we had one broadcaster, ROV, the Icelandic broadcaster, and then the other partners were not in co-production. So of course we didn't have several commissioning editors, so it was easier to maintain the core and not to have to deal with differences that we have usually to deal with when you are making a television program, which is often difficult for everybody, for the production company and for the channels also. So in that sense, it was quite easy.
Do you have the impression that co-producing is evolving? Do you find easier to find public funding for co-productions? You have a long background of producing. Do you have the sense that this is evolving? It's easier to get access to funds? It's easier to find partners along the way?
Well, if we are talking about specific supports for the co-production, so yes, of course. I mean, co-producing is always a little bit more difficult, it's more slow, you need more time, you need more, patience. But on the other hand, it may enrich, your project, your financing, and so this is, the balance that producers we have to evaluate at one point and see, which chances we have and if it's worth, or not. Yeah, I mean, I think international co-production is more and more, interesting, and I think my feeling is that it has more and more sense, either for a feature or for series. So I would, I would be positive on that. Yes.
Yeah, I think that it's not becoming easier. I think it's becoming more difficult because the funds are shrinking. The competition is very hard, and I think often you see that whether you sit on one or the other side of the table, you often realize that a lot of projects are very, very high quality that doesn't get funding because of the competition. So that's also why I think it often takes a very, very long time, because you have to go through the process many times. And again, I really want to underline that the public financing like Euroimage and media are really, really vital for the diversity of tomorrow and for the saving of the independent film production and maintaining this diversity that we have in Europe, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think there's one thing that I like to say is about the co-production, which is, of course it's difficult. We personally like it very much because it's like it's exploring other cultures. It's putting yourself in front of other people the whole time, questioning what you're doing and kind of taking the best of everything. And I think that the fact of doing the co-production is actually this thing where you, at an early stage, you put it into a mirror towards the world, and it actually gives you the possibility of reconsidering or working, of the places where you know that there might be difficulties going out to an international audience, and I think that's an important part of doing the international co-productions.
Yeah, that's right. And then I have a feeling that in our case, our DNA, it's more cinema, and then I have a feeling that strong independent producers depend on the proposal from the creators. In that case, as I said at the beginning, we're supposed to do a movie, and finally we have a series. So I have a feeling that keeping the IP as independent producers is something that we want to fight for that. Mm-hmm. So thanks to the options of co-production, thanks to the public funds, in our case, thanks to IFEC Trescat combination, it's a great moment for this kind of series. So from here, it's okay, let's keep on doing that, because everybody knows that there are some projects that's perfect for original and straight to platform, but there are others, more artistic, more art house, that this kind of co-productions and schemes are really good. So we are at the end. Míriam has already released, I think next year as us. So we are in conversation with European Festival. So there are some projects that are super important to co-produce to keep the independence artistic-wise and keeping the IP as a producers. So at the end, it's a 6 million euros series. We have all the money in place, thanks at the end to media, and we have the world now, unless Belgium for sure. So it's a question for sure of independence, but also it's a question of business. So we have the world now. So that's, we hope, we risk at the beginning, but that's a bet, if finally it works, we have the world.
So you've made a good point that the co-production not only it's useful to getting the series done and getting the funds, but also to make the project richer. So I would say, what's your take on the advantages of working with an international partner, besides obviously making the series possible and making the project richer? What's your take on that?
Well, these two producers are so much experienced and so much, you know, I mean, Carine, when she explains me, you know, how she could produce with up to 8 countries in Europe, I just, you know, I'm amazed. So
it's overwhelming,
please,
actually.
you should answer this question. And
I think that Marianne answered perfectly.
yeah,
You know, I don't have nothing to say of that. You know.
yeah.
But of course, I mean, we are producing international authors, so it's natural to go where they are. And some of them have crews. Some of them have a Romanian DP and a Russian set decorator for Sergei, and you know, so it's natural. Then we go to find money in all those countries, not in Russia anymore. Yeah. It was earlier, but no, I have nothing more to say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think she made a very good point, which has to do, you know, how this opportunity to co-producing with other countries can enrich the project and can give you, you know, other perspectives and other opinions and other contributions. And I think this is very interesting. It's true that maybe for those sort of projects that Sandra and I produce, we are not so close to this complex, you know, co-production structure. But I really admire, and I think it's very interesting, you know, the way they co-produce with so many, you know, countries and so many little bits. Yeah, exactly. You know, at the end of the day, every project is unique, and you have to hear, you know, to listen the project and try to give it what it needs. And yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the distribution. I mean, that's super when you start a project super local like us. It's like a revenge because the restaurant was threat under an investment fund. And when Paul called me, okay, let's do something, I said, okay, it's a revenge, it's a filmic revenge, no? And then imagine that this super personal revenge is going to be released in Belgium, already sent to Portugal. Imagine, traveling the story abroad, it's something amazing. So distribution, it's one of the best of co-production as well.
And I have a last question for you. Just looking ahead, how do you think co-production is going to look like? Like, I'm going to say 5 years from now, not 10. 10 is too long. Wow. What do you think? Are we having bigger fans?
It's a moment to start talking about politics.
Yes, I was just going to say, looking at the world of today, I think even tomorrow is...
We have the new generation, so I think they're very interested in knowing how do you, as producers, are very experienced producers, how do you see the scenario in 5 years from now?
I think it's very difficult to imagine the scenarios from five years from now, even a year from now with the world situation. But I think that with Carine and I, what we are constantly doing and what we think is really important is that you have to adapt and you have to constantly look for new ways and new methods and imagine, you know, kind of other things than just the structure that we have, because we see that the restriction of it and how it limits us. So of course we have to, you know, especially when you're, you know, defending international authors that has unique voices, you have to find a way yourself to propose. You can't just expect, you know, just to see what's on the market and then try to go for it. So I think that's the seeing 5 years from now is seeing into our own imagination.
Not bad.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I have a feeling that local stories work really well. But in 5 years, we want to be like more global as a distribution. So I think distribution, again, it's one of the important things at the same time financing, public funds, keeping IP as independent producer. But I think in 5 years, the thing that maybe has changed more is distribution.
I am very optimistic on that. I mean, a part of what can happen in terms of politics and social, this is something different. But I'm very optimistic in the sense that I think more and more, we are ready to assume audiovisual products from other countries. It's true that more and more the funds and the financing sources are more flexible. If we go back to 10 years ago, you had, the European CoProductions. Everything was so rigid, so difficult and very weird. I think every time is more flexible. The funding understands better, that we have to be flexible. We just, listen at Arte and Movistar earlier, and, they can collaborate organically with their series and the Spanish series interest in France, and probably, the other way around. I think, yes, we are going to a Europe or to a global world where every time will be, under my perspective, easier and more organic, and so I think I'm optimistic on that.
So I have like 4 main takeaways. You need to adapt and be more flexible. You need to be willing to learn and to be more patient. Patience, I think it's a very good quality, and also fight for your product. In terms of your IP and fighting for the project you're developing. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
To you.